under the influence of power, of lust, of control, of hate. He showed utter disregard for women and for life.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is about Wade Wilson. Yes, this guy, Wade Wilson, who's convicted of gruesomely unaliving 2 victims in his hometown of Cape Coral, Florida. Now, I want to give you the backstory on Wade Wilson so that you understand what happened the night of these unaliving events. So it starts out in the evening hours on October 6, 2019, where prosecutors say that Wade Wilson went to Buddha Live. Buddha Live is a nightclub in the area. It's along McGregor Boulevard, and that's where a lot of fun stuff happens. They have live bands, that kind of thing. It's a bar. Well, Melissa Montanez, which is Wilson's girlfriend, at least it was at the time, she reported that she met him there, and she actually testified that to the jurors that he repeatedly asked her to take her car, to drive her car. She didn't even want to go out. He asked her to leave him and to go with a friend of his, which was somebody he had just met at the nightclub, this guy, Jason Shepard. He didn't know him. So, of course, Melissa, the girlfriend, didn't want to go to some strange guy's house that she just met. So, but Wade just kept going on and on. He insisted. Melissa still didn't go. So what does Wade do? Well, he takes her car. He takes her car, leaves her stranded there, and she ends up going home with a friend of hers, I guess maybe someone she called. She said Wilson took the car without her permission. So after she left the club, Wilson ended up meeting with a lady there. Her name was Christine Melton. She had a best friend with her whose name was Stephanie Johnson. And so Stephanie and this first guy, Jason Shepard, whose house they wanted to go to, they had kind of a thing. So Wade, with Stephanie's friend, Christine, they were going to go hang out. But anyway, so Stephanie Johnson actually took the stand in the trial, and she told a little bit about what happened that night. She said that Wilson introduced himself as Junior instead of who he really was, Wade Wilson. Called himself Junior. And she said at that time he looked really innocent. He didn't have any tattoos on his face, and he seemed friendly. He was quite charming. She said she just didn't see anything that stood out as scary or bad about the guy. So anyway, Wilson, she and Melton, they ended up allegedly, they liked each other. They had a thing for each other. And then Johnson and Shepard both testified that the two were intimate when they reached Shepard's home. But what happens is really interesting, because the next day, just a few hours later, Wilson attempted to drive the women to Melton's home. Melton was the lady that Wilson was with. Was a friend. However, what he didn't know was that maybe because he was drunk, he was driving the stick shift of his girlfriend's car okay, but he was having some struggles the next morning after he sobered up. Anyway, they finally make it there. They struggle through that. And when they arrived at the home, Johnson said that she kind of felt a sense of relief. Whew, we made it. We're not in this car anymore. I'm finally at home. So she ended up taking her child to school that day, and then she left and she went to work. So she left her friend Wilson there at the house. And so Miss Wilson and she said she left Wilson and Melton there together, actually. So she hugged and kissed and said, "Hey, I'll see you tomorrow." That's what she told the jury happened. Well, at the time, she said she didn't have any concerns for her friend's safety. She thought she'd be in good hands. And it was just shortly after she left the home that the police believe Wilson was actually strangled at that point. So, and this is pretty sad to even say, but her body wasn't discovered until later that evening. Anyway, Wilson's girlfriend, the lady whose car he'd taken, reported getting several phone calls from him, like bright and early the next morning, the same day. And she didn't answer the phone calls until about 9 a.m. And when she did, she wanted to know, like any of us would, where is my car? I want my car. And he said, well, if you want it, you got to come and get it. She was like, no, I want my car now. Bring me my car. Montanez, that's her name, the girlfriend. She was furious about him getting her car the night before, and she just wanted it back. Bottom line. She said that made him angry that she's even asking for her car back, and it escalated. They started screaming at each other, and they were very aggressive, and he was threatening to her. But she said she ended up meeting up with Wade Wilson at her business in downtown Fort Myers, Florida. She said that's where we'll meet, and maybe I'll just get my car. So when she got there, she took along her friend whose house she stayed with overnight, and she said he showed up in a different car. Now he takes her car, but shows up in a different car that she was like, well, whose car is this? I don't know this car. Well, later on, the police identified that car he showed up in was actually the Nissan Versa. It was a black Nissan Versa that belonged to the victim. And so, that's really sad. He does this stuff, unalives this person, and then drives her car to meet his girlfriend. Sad, sad, sad. So anyway, the girlfriend, Montanez, said that he was trying to pull her into the vehicle that he was driving. She said he gripped so hard that it nearly ripped the dress that she was wearing off of her body. He was pulling her that tightly. She said that he also opened the car door and tackled her, and then he forgot to put the car in park, so it ended up bumping into another car and grazing her leg. So she said then Wilson, who is 6 feet 6 inches tall, and she's only 5'2", now 6'6" versus 5'2", he punches her and slaps her and chokes her. Oh my gosh. There's nobody behind the eyes, is how she described him. Like, there's no reasoning with him. He just looked, unalived in the eyes. She was like, I don't know who this person is. And so she said that there were witnesses that reported that Montanez, the girlfriend, was dragged. Now she's the ex-girlfriend, but she was dragged up the stairs to her business, held up against the wall by her throat. She didn't know rather, what he was going to do. She was super afraid at that moment. And at that point, he hit her. He actually hit her straight on in the face. And she remembered, just blood flying everywhere while, he was stunned by the blood. So he kind of ducked under his arms and then just tucked his tail and ran away, got back into the black Nissan, and then he drove off. This is such a terrible, terrible story to even say, but I do want to talk about the victim a little bit, Miss Melton. So in that afternoon, Stephanie Johnson said that she got a call from the Cape Coral Police Department asking if she knew where Melton was and why her car was found in Fort Myers. And it was at that point, she said, she was starting to worry about what happened to her best friend after she left her home. She said she had a fear of what might have happened, but Officer Charles Caruso said that they were barely inside for 45 seconds before they saw a large bundle of bedding and clothing in a hallway near the bedroom. So after clearing the home to make sure no one else was there, they separated the sheets enough to see Melton's leg tattoo. She had a tattoo on her leg. The officer reported she was cold to touch. So she'd been there for a while. And so their team backed out of the house and taped off the crime scene. This is a horrific story, guys, and I just don't understand. I always say this, but I don't understand. I guess it's illogical, and that's why I don't. How you could hurt someone like this. I'm going to bring you the video because there's actually a second victim, and was charged with 6 different crimes. But I wanted to at least get this out to you guys because this is a very important story that we'll be definitely covering in future videos. Again, if you love and love the videos and the content, please feel free to hit that subscribe button. Please feel free to like the video. It really means a lot to me, and I really appreciate you for supporting. Thank you. You have a blessed day.